Bless your enemies or miscreants, if any, with kindness, so that they also change and lead a good life. Let us bless the Vedadriyan peace plan called Vedadriya. Be blessed by the divine. Let us bless the World Community Service Center. Be blessed by the divine. Let us bless the Temple of Consciousness at Arya. Be blessed by the divine. Let us bless all the meditation centers across the world. Be blessed by the divine. Let us bless all the participants of today's program and their family members. Be blessed by the divine. Let us take the twofold moral oath. I, in my lifetime, will not give pain to others physically or mentally. To the extent possible, I will remove the pain of others. I, in my lifetime, will not give pain to others physically or mentally. To the extent possible, I will remove the pain of others. I, in my lifetime, will not give pain to others physically or mentally. To the extent possible, I will remove the pain of others. We now expand our mind and bless the entire world. Rain may pour on all parts of the world timely and sufficiently. Food grains may grow abundantly to the satisfaction of all living beings. Leaders of all nations may grow spiritually and do good service to humanity. May the whole world enjoy prosperity, happiness, and peace. May there be peace within us. May there be peace around us. May there be peace in the whole world. Peace, peace, peace. Gently rub your palms and fingers, pass the energy over the face. Raise your hands, take a deep breath, and bring your hands down. And open your eyes. Yes, friends. Thank you all for joining this meditation. And you all know that Saturday is a special day for us because every day we have group meditation, Kaya Kalpa, thought for the day, etc. But on Saturdays, we also invite some persons who are closely associated with Adriyam and doing a lot of spiritual service and share their thoughts for the satsang. And today, we are fortunate to have Kalaivani Mahesh Kumar from Canada. Namaste. So she did her Brahmanyanam from IIR itself. And she has been doing a lot of work in Calgary city of Canada for a meditation center. And she's also taking classes for the kids, North American kids. So, and today her topic, and she's a physiotherapist as well as also she has a diploma in health information. So both professionally as well as by this, she has been doing a lot of service to society. And today her topic is sky is the limit. Human beings have got phenomenal facilities and capabilities, but unfortunately we circumscribe ourselves with some smaller limits. But she says sky is the limit. And the sky stands for Simplified Kundalini Yoga as well. Okay, now we're all very eager to hear how to enhance our limits. Over to you, madam.
வாழ்க வையகம், வாழ்க வையகம், வாழ்க வளமுடன். சிந்தையை அடக்கியே சும்மாவிருக்கின்ற சீரறிய செய்த குருவே வணக்கம். குரு வாழ்க, குருவே துணை. Are you all able to see my screen?
No. You're sharing your screen, is it? It's not yet
Yeah,
coming.
yes.
Yeah, now we got it. Yeah,
Oh, you got it? Okay.
yes.
Okay. So I'm feeling gratitude and privileged to present my first topic in front of all the Vedatrium dignitaries, scholars, Sky members, IT people working so hard behind the scenes, and one and all presented over here today. Mata, Pita, Guru, and Devam. I extend my gratitude to my parents, Guru Arutande Vedatri Maharishi, and last but not least, my family for their continued support. Today, my topic is Sky is the Limit. My intention is to break down the boundaries that we set into this life and experience the limitless sky around us. Now, I'm going to use the term sky as a homonym for simplified Kundalini Yoga and absolute space. So, in the introduction to sky, I want to keep it more informal. So, I used iconography, where picture symbolizes the incident in my life. Arutandi Vedatri Maharishi is the greatest and the simplest philosopher of this century. You will know why by the end of this session. In the first picture, a small girl looking up to the sky. I name it as Sky is Calling. My experience as a child, when me and my dad were sleeping on the terrace, I woke up in the middle of the night and saw the dark sky with twinkling stars. At that time, I could not realize it is sky is calling. Rather, I got scared and hugged my dad and slept again. Now, Maharishi is taking me every time in the Shakti Kalam during Duryadida Davam, and I don't feel any fear at all. In the second picture, I want to relate this to a small story. A dad and a child were walking in the festival gathering. Dad first told the daughter to hold his hands tightly. After some time, the daughter couldn't hold the hand properly due to the crowd and lost her dad. Later, somehow, the dad found the child and asked why she missed his hands. Daughter said, "My hands are so small to hold you. Why don't you hold me?" And yes, that's how I was lost for some time after taking Vedatriam in my early 20s. But now Maharishi is holding my hands back again so strongly and guiding me all through my life. Now, for this presentation, have used or I have referred Maharishi's books, namely Brahmanyanam, Jnanamam Varvam, Agattavam, and some Arulnidhi course materials given by my senior Sky members in Calgary. I would like to extend my thanks for their support and encouragement here. So please consider me as a child talking about a Vedatriam with little knowledge and don't hesitate to correct me and guide me at the end. Now, in the table of contents, I have included topics like mind and sky are different. Mind and consciousness know the difference. Sky is everywhere. Sky practices dissolve the mind in the sky, and sky is inclusive. Sky and science, and finally, my conclusion. Okay, you may wonder why I choose to explain about the mind first. Because mind is the most important thing, which is setting us boundaries. So I want to break that first. Nowhere else I have found a simple explanation for mind so far. That's where I found sky is unique. And that's the reason why Vedatri Maharishi's Manavala Kalai Payarchi steps ahead from the rest. We all agree that we have mind, but never ever think about where it is, how it is working, and how it's creating all the problems we see in our everyday life. Here is the simplest answer given by Maharshi. மனமது இயற்கையின் மாபெரும் நிதியலோ, மனமதை உயர்த்தினால் மட்டிலா இன்பம், மனமதை தாழ்த்தினால் மயக்கத்தால் துன்பம், மனதிலே உளையலாம் மற்றெங்கே தேடுவீர்? Most of us used to curse the mind, but Maharshi says the mind is the biggest donation of the nature. If you raise your mind above all, you can be happy. If you let it down, it will end up with sorrow. So everything is in the mind and don't search outside. Now, I want to start with the sky and end with the mind to show how mind and sky are not different. So this one slide I have made from different topics from the Brahmanyanam book. I try to put it as simple as it is. We started with the unified force or the absolute space or super consciousness or the divine state. The self-compressive force of the divine state, which is also called Brahma, God, gave rise to the infinitesimal energy particles or Vedan particles. We call it as wind. Meanwhile, the magnetic waves are also generated in the form of yogan or van kandam. There is no time difference in the celestial creation, but I put it into two to show the difference in their perception. So I'm not going to go deep into this process because it itself is a topic of discussion. The Vedan particles unite together with the compressive force to form the celestial bodies like stars, planets, etc. And five elements we know: air, fire, water, soil or earth, and the living things. On the other hand, simultaneously, the yogan, which are the electromagnetic waves, establish themselves within these five elements as light, sound, pressure, taste, and smell. Pressure is regarded as the first sense in the universe. Plants, worms, insects, reptiles, and animals have these senses in the order from 1 to 5. So, what about humans? We have the sixth sense. What is it? It is the mind. The biomagnetism within the human body, which is called Jiva Kandam, when it is in the universal level, it is called Van Kandam. When it is in the human body, it is called as Jiva Kandam, works with the brain and the sense organs to establish the so called mind. So, what Maharishi says about it? Space, the static force, is the primary object. Sixth sense human mind remains as the final object. Brahmanyanam or divine wisdom is the consciousness to see from the start to the end together as a single scene intuitively. This knowledge is divine realized wisdom. If we read any Vedas, it might take years to understand, but Maharishi has made it so simple for us. That's how he is unique and one of a kind. So now we understand that mind and the consciousness are the same. Now I want to relate this situation with a Tirukural. சொல்லுதல் யார்க்கும் எளிய அறியவாம் சொல்லிய வண்ணம் செயல். Usually we use this Kural for human beings, but I want to use it for the Brahma. Because it was easy for me to say how it is evolved from the unified force to the level of the mind, in simple words with the help of Maharishi. But when we think about how it is transformed, it is really a matter of myriad questions, billions of years, and the divine power. That's where sublimation comes. The next slide, I want to explain the difference between the mind and the consciousness. So, we know that humans have body, mind, and consciousness at this point from the previous slides. So, how to differentiate the mind and the consciousness? In this picture, I have shown an ocean. That is how Maharishi tried to explain us the difference between the mind and the consciousness. Take the example of the ocean and waves. The waves acts like a mind, while the ocean acts like the consciousness. Whatever the waves collect, it reaches the ocean. We need to look into the deep, silent ocean for its stillness rather than enjoying what the waves has to offer. So Maharishi made it so simple that mind is nothing but the extension of the human wisdom. I have mentioned it here. Mind is the extension of the human wisdom. So if you take an ocean, you might see waves that is always wavering at the outside. That is called mind. That is how our mind is working. Whereas the inner deep consciousness is always in a state of stillness. We forget about it and we always go behind the mind or the waves. Maharishi says you have to bring the mind back to the consciousness and make it more powerful. So, where is the consciousness? So, now we understood mind is nothing but the biomagnetic waves or the extension of the human consciousness. So, where is the consciousness located? It is at the genetic center of the body. So, one must understand that the imprints of the waves is collected by the consciousness of the body, which is at the genetic center, which acts like a black box, saving all the imprints endlessly. The biomagnetism from the genetic center flows through the sense organs and perceived as image or incident. It is stored within the genetic center as imprints. It can be reactivated as thoughts within the brain. So genetic center acts like a black box where it collects all the imprints, our thoughts, our speech, our actions, everything is being recorded at the genetic center. So it is at the vertex of the circulating biomagnetism. We call it as Mooladhar or Karumayam. So genetic center is at the Mooladharam or Karumayam. It also occupies the life energy particles or the Ven and the sexual vital fluid. So it's always good to keep the genetic center clean and powerful. That is what in a temple we have Karulam, which is always kept clean and for the divine power. The same way, our genetic center is the Karumayam for the divine power. So we need to keep it clean and exhibit only the good virtues out of it. So in the genetic center, nothing is escaped. Everything is getting imprinted in the genetic center. Next, I want to say sky is everywhere. Here, the sky, I mean the divine state. So, the divine state has transformed into man. Realizing this fact is the Brahmanyana. From the start to end, everything is divine. So, how Maharishi explains this? In his poem, Ellam valla தெய்வமது எங்கும் உள்ளது நீக்கமர சொல்லால் மட்டும் நம்பாதே சுயமாய் சிந்தித்தே தெளிவாய். And he finishes off like this. அவனை மறந்தால் நீ சிறியோன் அவனை அறிந்தால் நீ பெரியோன் அவன் நீ ஒன்றாய் அறிந்த இடம் அறிவு முழுமை அது முக்தி. So we understand the wisdom or the arivu or the deivam, whatever name we give it to us, for the consciousness, and the mind or the manam, humans, nature, world, universe. Everywhere we see the super consciousness or the divine state. That's what Maharishi is trying to explain to us. So now my another question might arise. So who am I? Am I the body? Am I the mind or the consciousness? The famous quote of Ramanar, Nan Yar, is answered now by Vedatri Maharishi. I am nothing but the absolute consciousness. I have all the properties of the divine state within me. I am the simplest yet the complicated version of the consciousness. Now we'll pass on to the sky practices. In order to reach the inner consciousness or the arivu, We need to cross the mind and the body because it's beyond our limits. Maharishi has formulated simple exercises for the body, meditation and introspection for the mind, and Kaya Kalpa for the life force. Life force here means nothing but the vital particles or the wind, which is at the genetic center. So, in terms of body, he has given us simplified physical exercises, keeping all of us in mind how lazy we are. And neuromuscular breathing exercises, pranayama, Kapalabhati, and eye exercises, relaxation, which is very, very efficient. And for the mind, we have 9 different meditations given by Maharishi. During meditation, the mind frequency is decreased below 14 hertz, which is the alpha frequency that aligns with the universal consciousness. Upon practice, it may go up to 4 to 7 hertz. Meditation works with the endocrine glands of the body, which are ductless, like pituitary, pineal, thyroid, thymus, pancreatic glands, sexual glands like testes and ovaries, through our chakras. So their functions are vital for the body. Meditation includes Agnya, Duriyam, Shanti, Duryadidam, Nayan centered meditation, Panjabhuta Navagraha Davam, Panchendriya Davam, Irainilai Davam, and Nityananda Davam. During meditation, mind is visualizing the consciousness within the self and it is trying to merge with the divine state. Mind is becoming a powerful tool. So at this point, I will add a Tirukural which says, Enniya Enniyangu Eiduba, Enniyar Tinniyar Agaperin. So if your mind is very powerful, the thoughts coming out of it will also be powerful. And we can achieve whatever we desire for. That is what this Tirukural means. And there is a Bharadiyar பாடல் எண்ணிய முடிதல் வேண்டும் நல்லவே எண்ணல் வேண்டும் திண்ணிய நெஞ்சம் வேண்டும் தெளிந்த நல்லறிவு வேண்டும் பண்ணிய பாவமெல்லாம் பரிதிமுன் பணியே போல நன்னிய நின்முனிங்கு நசித்திட வேண்டும் அன்னாய். So Bharadiyar is giving the importance of how our thought should be. The thought should be sharp, powerful. Maharishi says, Ormai, Sirmai, Kurmai. So that comes only with the practice of the meditation. Now we'll take a small example of our day-to-day life. So a small boy within a classroom doing a lot of mischievous habits, no one can control him. But once he hears the sound of the PT master coming with a long stick, he just goes to silent. That's how we need to turn the mind to the consciousness and show this is the supreme power. This will come only with practice. So mind is like a child, don't know where to go. So it's failing to contemplate itself with its worldly pleasures. Just show what is eternal and it is automatically surrendered to the divine state. So they have found out that it will take at least 7 minutes for the mind to come back to its original state after getting into thoughts. But with the continuous practice of meditation, this can be quick and mind can be revoked from any unwanted thoughts, speech, or actions. So that way we can become a great human. I will explain that in shortly. Sorry. Next, for the life force, we have the Kaya Kalpa practice. It's a very energetic and powerful practice. It is for the sexual vital fluid as well as. So all these exercises, meditation and Kaya Kalpa, everything can be learned and practiced with the help of a trained master. Now, man is identified by his mind. That's where introspection comes into action. Like we say, Ennam Sol Sayal. A man is identified by how he think, how he speak, and how he act. That's why Maharishi has given very much importance to the introspection, where we can analyze our thoughts and get only the good thoughts out of it. It is a separate syllabus itself. It can be practiced. It is a self analysis. Now, at this time, I think about a small statement which I heard, which I learned when I was young. It is, it's so simple to be wise. Think of something stupid, but don't say. It was given by a Russian author, Leo Tolstoy, which means we all have the tendency to get some negative thoughts, but we should know where to stop that, how to stop that to prevent ourselves from getting into troubles. That is what this statement says. So, that can be brought up with the help of introspection. We can control our thoughts and we can align it to the consciousness. What Maharishi says about thoughts is thoughts are the supreme action of the universe. So, thoughts are the building blocks of a successful life. So, he has given a lot of importance to our thoughts. Next comes to the speech. How to make our speech more consoling and reassuring. அல்லவை தேய அறம் பெருகும் நல்லவை நாடி இனிய சொல்லின் இனிய உளவாக இன்னாது கூறல் கனியிருப்ப காய் கவர்ந்தற்று. So these are all Tirukural, which explains the importance of having a good words in our speech. What Maharishi has done to us is he has given a noble words in the form of blessings called Varha Vayyagam, Varha Vayyagam, Varha Valamudan. So he does not include only us, he has included the whole universe in his blessings. This word itself has a power to provoke the inner consciousness for the teller as well as the listener. உள்நாக்கு சென்னியை தொட துரியம் தூண்டப்படுகிறது. Next we'll come to the actions. Every actions brings a result, unerring in its application. The result may be immediate or follow in time. It's divine justice. Actions performed even as a mind is ruled by the wisdom bring only good results. This is the idea behind the adage, wisdom vanquishes destiny, which means vidiyai madiyal vellala. Actions are done as habits, but habits can be changed by explanations. Maharishi put it as like this. பழக்கத்தை விளக்கத்தால் மாற்றலாம். So why we do the actions repeatedly? It's because of the habits. So if we try to understand, if we try to give an explanation for our actions, these habits can be changed and our actions can be corrected. So that's how we can correct our thoughts, speech, and the actions. Maharishi has also formulated a separate topic on cause and effect. That's how our actions is going to affect ourselves and others. He has written so many books about it. Next, we'll take the mind to the level of the sky. Sky here I means the divine state. Maharishi has given a formula. Human minus ignorance is God, or God plus ignorance equal to humans. So ignorance here is means ego, karma, and illusions, which are mummalangal. We say anavam, kanmam, maya. If we just clear all that from the human mind, we can also be a divine state. We can be in the divine state. அறிவுதனை கருவினிலே இணைத்து தவம் ஆற்ற ஐம்புலன்கள் அமைதி பெறும் அருகுணமும் சீராம். This is a poem given by Maharishi in his Jnana Kalanjiyam book. So in this table, you can see I have given 6 virtues, which are the major cause for most of the problems today. So the first one, so before that, if you try to control your mind, it will not listen. But if you try to understand, it will oblige. மனதை அடக்க நினைத்தால் அது அலையும், அறிய நினைத்தால் அது அடங்கும். That is what Maharishi explains to us. Mind always tries to keep itself happy by worldly pleasures, which are transient. Maharshi has formulated 6 virtues and the ways to align them. These virtues are the results of necessity, habit, friendship, and the situation. So, what are they? Desire, asai; anger, kovam or sinam; miserliness, kadumpatru; vengeance, panjam; superiority inferiority complex, உயர்வு தாழ்வு மனப்பான்மை, sexual passion, முறையற்ற பால் கவர்ச்சி. So these things can be converted as desire into state of content, anger into acceptance, miserliness into charity or giving, vengeance into forgiveness, complex into feeling of equality between all, and sexual passion by chastity. So Maharishi says there is no heaven or hell outside, it is only within our mind. So if we try to change all these, the virtues which I mentioned on the left side, we can convert that hell into a heaven, which is on the other side, which I just explained. Dissolve the mind in the sky is my next slide. So I want to quote a small Buddha story here. One day, a common man came to Buddha and said he has so many problems in life and what to do. Buddha told him to put a handful of salt in a glass of water and told him to drink. He couldn't do more than a sip, felt too much of salt. Next, Buddha asked him to dissolve the glass of water into a lake and again take the water and drink. He asked him how he felt. He said, "It's good, not salty anymore." That's the philosophy behind dissolving the mind with the divine state of consciousness. Maharishi says during the meditation, வெளியோடு வெளியாக கலந்து விரிந்து தவம் செய்யுங்கள். இதுவே பூரணம் ஆதி அனாதி மெய்ப்பொருள் பேரறிவு. இந்த நிலை அடைவதற்காகவே இப்பிறவி எடுத்துள்ளோம். What a beautiful lines he has quoted, which is inspiring for us. And there is also a popular saying called அது அதுவானால் அதுவே சொல்லும். This what happens when the mind dissolves in the sky. So we have Duryadida Davam, Panchabhuta Navagraha Davam, Nine Center Meditation, Irainilai Davam, Nityananda Davam. In all these meditations, the mind is taken to the absolute space, dissolved there, and it's coming back with purified consciousness back to the soul. இறைநிலையோடு எண்ணத்தை கலக்கவிட்டு ஏற்படும் ஓர் அமைதியிலே விழிப்பாய் நிற்க நிறைநிலையே தானாக உணர்வதாகும். நித்தம் நித்தம் உயிர் உடலில் இயங்கும் மட்டும் உறைந்து உறைந்து இந்நிலையில் பழகிக்கொள்ள உலக இன்பங்களிலே அளவு கிட்டும். கரை நீங்கி அறிவு மெய்ப்பொருளாய் நிற்கும். கரைந்து போம் தன்முனைப்பு காணும் தெய்வம். How else it can be explained? As simple as Maharishi. So this is the Sivakala Tavam, where manadai sutta veliyodu kalakka viduvathu. So we are just dissolving the mind in the sky. What happens? All our impurities are dissolved there, and when we come back, we are out of all the ignorance, like which I mentioned, ego, karma, illusions, and then we can see the divine state within us. Ability to see the sky within every other meditation is the state of realm, which means once we become master in meditation, we can see the sky in all the meditations we do. We should be able to see. That's what Maharishi wants us to do. Sky is inclusive. Maharishi says the mind can be practiced like the compressive force and the repulsive force of the divine state. Divine state is within the particles and outside the particles. Ability to stay inside and outside of the worldly pleasure. That is what I mean to be inclusive. We must be aware. Which means we need to show adaptability and resilience. We need to be in a position to live from inside out. So I'll explain how. Maharishi says, மனதை விரித்தும் சுருக்கியும் பழக வேண்டும். That is what is inclusive means. எப்பொழுதும் இந்த விரிந்த மனநிலையிலேயே இருந்து கொண்டு பழகி வருவோம். That's what he says during meditation. Maharishi has written more than 80 books and 200 poems. You name it, and he has a solution in his books to make you inclusive. I took notes from his Jnanamum Vazhum book for this this chapter of my presentation, which is Sky is Inclusive. We know the divine state is within the particles as well as the outside the particles, which means anuvirku ullum anuvirku veliyum. So our mind should be in a state where it is within the problem and also outside the problem. So we must develop that ability to see the problems from outside as well as from inside. That's how you can be an inclusive person. Where you can show that inclusiveness, you can show it in the self. First one. So the happiness of self is the happiness of the society and in turn the happiness of the world. So to keep ourselves in happy, we have simplified exercises given by Maharishi: meditation, introspection, and Kaya Kalpam. Next comes the family. You can practice Kai within the family life. That's the best way to endure it. That's what Maharishi says. Sky can guide you in every decision you make for you and your family. So the key points he gave us is acceptance, tolerance, sacrifice, and blessing to the family. Next comes the environment. In the environment, he has given poems for rain, Ulaganala Varthu, Malai Varthu. So life lived within the natural laws is secure. So we always have to abide the natural laws to secure our environment. Next comes the world. I wonder how come Maharishi from a small village in Chennai called Kuduvanjeri went to the United Nations to put forward his concepts for world peace. His thoughts were never less than the world. He is the founder of the World Community Service Center in 1958. He has seen two world wars during his lifetime, and that made him dream for world peace. You can read more books about his recommendations to United Nations in his book Jnanamum Vazhum and Brahmanyana. Porilla Nallulaham Vendum, that is what his dream. Next, coming to the education. Sky is a systematic syllabus that is being implemented at schools, colleges, and scholars are pursuing doctorate with Vedatrium subjects. The Research and Developmental Unit in RER is working on how Vedatrium is going hand in hand with science. So at this point, you will definitely think of giving this wisdom education to your child above the knowledge education. So wisdom forms the basis over the knowledge. Next, coming to the equality. பழுத்த நிலை வரும் வரையில் நீ நான் என்றோம் பதமடைந்தோம் ஒன்றானோ பரமானந்தம். So this is so simple explanation. Like until we get this Brahmanyanam, we used to say you and me. Once we get this Brahmanyanam, we say we are all same. So Brahmanyanam explains that all the living things are from the divine state. Hence, all are to be treated equally. Coming to friendship, it is possible to make friendship without hurting anybody. Knowing when to be inside and when to be outside creates no envy and no enemies. We can feel that state when we feel ourselves inclusive with the Sky practices. Coming to the women power, Maharishi has given more importance to women. Women are allowed to practice and preach the Vedatrium concept. He has also gave us the wife appreciation day to celebrate on August 30th of every year. Next, coming to wealth. Wealth, how we have to make it in a righteous way. There is one word where during our blessing we say Nirai Selvam. Nirai Selvam is being content mind. So that has to be developed when we try to acquire wealth. Coming to the society, we are interdependent on the society for our living, and in turn, we must be ready to give it back to the society. Sharing the wealth, wisdom, or work. Anything can be given back to the society. So, Sky offers this great opportunity to share the wisdom with other fellow members. So, in his poem, ஆதியனும் பரம்பொருள் மெய்யெழுச்சி பெற்று, he finishes off like this: நீதி நெறி உணர் மாந்தராகி வாழும் நிலையுணர்ந்து தொண்டாற்று இன்பம் காண்போம். So, which inspires us to give it back to the society. Coming to the science and art part, I would say மெஞ்ஞானம் இல்லாத விஞ்ஞானம் ஆபத்தானது, விஞ்ஞானம் இல்லாத மெஞ்ஞானம் அபத்தமானது. So Maharishi's concepts were aligning with science. I will explain that in few moments. And when it comes to art, art is the exhibit of the soul, and it should be done without ego. So once we develop in the art, and when we have the knowledge of Sky within us, that art will be pure form without any illusions, or like as I mentioned, without any ego or illusions. Next, coming to the religion, anyone can practice the Sky. That's why Maharishi has founded the Arivu Tirukoil at Ariyar, because consciousness is universal. So at this point, we might have realized that everyone are same, and the so-called differences in humans in the name of religion has to be excluded. தூய நிலை அறிவறிந்தோர் மதம் கடப்பார் விந்தை காணீர், Maharishi has given us. So once we understood the divine pure state, we will exceed the religion. That's what we say, எல்லாவற்றிற்கும் மேலாக இரு. அறிவேதான் தெய்வமென்றார் தாயுமானவர், அகத்ததுதான் மெய்ப்பொருள் என்று எடுத்துக் காட்டி அறிவதனை அறிவித்தார் திருவள்ளுவர். அவ்வறிவை அறிவதற்கு முறைகள் சொன்னார் அறிஞர் திருமூலர். அவ்வறிவில் ஆழ்ந்து ஆனந்த கவியாற்றினார் ராமலிங்கர். அறிவை அறிய அறிவு திருக்கோயில் அமைத்தார் அருத்தந்தை வேதாத்ரி மகரிஷி. And this is the temple of consciousness at Ariyar. Anyone is welcomed there. Coming to the leadership, I like his poem. உலகிலுள்ள பொறுப்புடைய தலைவரெல்லாம் உயிர் அறிவை உள்ளுணர்வாய் பெறுதல் வேண்டும். He mentions உயிர் அறிவு, which means the wisdom, which means the knowledge of wisdom. So if all the leaders get this wisdom, there won't be any place for wrong decisions. Sense of perspicacity should be there in the leadership, which means nunman nuraipulan arivu, the ability to decide based on the past, present, and future. That's what Maharishi explains for leadership. Coming to the thoughts, we need to keep our thoughts above everything. There is one Tirukkural, வெள்ளத்தனைய மலர் நீட்டம் மாந்தர்த்தம் உள்ளத்தனையது உயர்வு, which means the lotus plant, which will decide its height based on the water and not based on its ability. As the water level rises, the lotus try to grow above and above and above the water level. The same way, we need to keep our thoughts higher and higher and higher, in spite of all the situations or circumstances which is pulling us down. So இந்த நிலை அடைவதற்காகவே மனித பிறவி எடுத்தோம் என்று மகரிஷி is mentioning in the Duryadida Davam. So we need to keep our thoughts high and high and high at the level of the sky. Next comes the divine state. Maharishi says it is possible to attain the divine state at this point, at this life itself. If we know how to purify our genetic center, if we know how to dissolve ourselves into the sky, we will be able to attain the divine state or Vedapera. Coming to sky and size, so my analysis is purely at the rudimentary stage. So please forgive me if I did any mistakes. You can correct me at the end. So, sky exists relentlessly. Here, sky, I mean the divine state. Um, Simplified Kundalini Yoga does not endorse the Big Bang theory. It says sky is in the form of plenum. Plenum means vatra iruppu. So, what science says about it is energy can neither be created nor be destroyed, but it can be transformed from one form to the other. So, we have seen in the previous slides like how the unified force converted from the original state to that of the mind. So that's how energy is being converted from one state to another state. That's how I understand the science behind the sky. Next is the unified force. Sky says everything comes from the unified force. Science has identified four different kinds of forces, like this strong force, weak force, gravitational force, and the electromagnetic force. And it is yet to identify the one singular force which is governing all of us, all the things in the universe. In the Panchabhuta Navagraha Davam, Maharishi used to say, the black hole is leading to the Brahman, which means சூரியனின் நடு மையத்தில் அணுக்கள் ஒன்று கூடி செயலிழந்து பிரம்மமாக மாறிக்கொண்டிருக்கிறது. இதுவே கருந்துளை என்று அழைக்கப்படுகிறது. That's how he mentions. Same way, the scientist believes black hole takes to the singularity. Now, I found one interesting thing when I was reading his books. Mind as acting as a wave, which I mentioned as Jivakandam, and the wisdom or the wind is acting like a particles. When I first heard the term, like scientifically, like a particle can behave both like waves and the particle, and sorry, an element or what do you call the electrons or photons can exhibit both waves and particles. I was surprised how it is even possible. But when I read Maharishi's books, I understood. Mind is nothing but the consciousness. When you see it as a mind, it is acting like a wave. When you see it as a consciousness, it is acting like a particle because it is wind. It is infinitesimal energy particle. So the modern understanding called the wave particle duality shows that quantum entities like electrons and protons can exhibit both wave-like and particle-like behaviors. I'm really surprised and spellbound how Maharishi is able to think to that extent and keep the sky above the science. Science is just following the sky. The last one is quantum entanglement in science. I would like to quote the word how Maharishi has mentioned in his books. உயிரினங்களுக்கு முன்னதாக பேரியக்க மண்டலத்தில் இரண்டு இடங்களில் சிறிது வித்தியாசமான கருமையங்கள் அமைந்துள்ளன. அவற்றில் ஒன்று வேதான் துகளின் மைய பகுதி, இரண்டாவது ஒவ்வொரு கோளின் மையத்திலும் அமைந்துள்ள ஈர்ப்பு மையம். இம்மூன்று வகை கருமையங்களும் பிரபஞ்சத்தில் எங்கிருந்தாலும் அவை ஒன்றோடொன்று நீக்கமற எங்கும் நிறைந்துள்ள இறைவெளியால் தொடர்புடையவை. So this is what is modern science calling it as quantum entanglement or the spooky reaction by the Einstein, a phenomenon where two or more particles become linked, sharing the same state regardless of the distance separating. So which means the same thing as Maharishi has explained before. The genetic center of us and the genetic center of the planets and the universe are interlinked or interconnected. When one is disturbed, the other is also disturbed irrespective of their distance. I'm once again spellbound of how he could imagine this. Okay. Since I was talking about science, I want to quote this by Stephen Hawking, given by Stephen Hawking. Remember to look up to the stars and not down to your feet. We think our problems are the biggest in this world, but when you look up to the stars and sky, where are we? We are nothing. We are not even a dust. That's what Stephen Hawking says. He may be a scientific person, but I see a philosophy behind his words. Now, Buddha says, don't look at my finger, look at the moon, which means we all know who is divine, what is divine. There are so many ways have been formulated to reach the divine. We give importance to those ways, and we are not trying to understand what is that divine state. That's what Maharishi says. Sollal mattum nambade suyamai sindithe telivai. So at the conclusion, we have explained that sky is converted to mind and mind can be converted back to the sky. Sky applies to individual as well as to the whole world. You name it, sky has it. You need a solution, sky has it. It is a blueprint for life. It changes the perception of the life. And anywhere, anytime, it gives a constant guidance. So in my teaser, I mentioned, is it simplified? I say, how I feel it is simplified is S for systematic syllabus, I am for implementable, P for practice and preach, L for learning every day, and E for evolving yourself. So I believe I justified sky is the limit. So it's all you have to experience and realize it rather than I accepting my words. As Maharishi says, Sollal mattum nambade suyamai sindithe telivai. Thanks for giving this great opportunity to share my ideas and thoughts about Sky. Once again, I thank my parents, family, and all the Sky members. Be blessed. Thank you.
Be blessed by the divine, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am, for an excellent speech. Thank you so much. Anybody wants to interact with our speaker, you can please be free to ask. Anybody else? You can raise your hands, I'll unmute you. Okay. Actually, a few minutes before, due to some personal emergencies, our Professor Balachandra was supposed to be away from our session. So, shall we close the session, ma'am?
Sure.
Yeah, thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much once again. On behalf of WCSC Sky Online English Group Meditation, I thank you all for a kind participation. Today's announcement, you can go for it. Daily, we are having Sky Online English Group Meditation, morning 6 a.m. and evening 6:30 p.m. Indian Standard Time. As well as 1st and 16th of every month, we are conducting foundation classes, so you can refer your friends and relatives. So with this, we conclude the session. Be blessed by the divine. Thank you so much. And this is Visalakshi Saravanan signing off. Be blessed by the divine.